Welcome to the CFA Society India podcast, where society members engage in conversations with industry experts to bring you unique insights. This podcast represents the views and opinions of the originally featured speaker and is posted with their express consent. The podcast is meant for educational purposes only. It should not be construed as research, recommendation, solicitation, or investment advice by CFA Society India. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Hello and welcome to the CFA Society India podcast. My name is Anil Ghelani. I am a volunteer with the CFA Society India. As a part of my day job, I work with DSP Mutual Fund in the asset management industry, looking after passive investments and products. Friends, today with me on the CFA Society India podcast, we have a very special guest. We have with us today Nithin Kamath. Nithin, wish you a very warm welcome. Nithin, friends, is the founder and CEO of Zerodha, which is today the largest stockbroker in India. Nithin has been passionately building this platform over the past 13 odd years and has built it to this stage in today's world. Nithin also started Rainmatter, which is a R&D fintech incubator and fund focused on assisting and creating an ecosystem for enhancing and motivating innovation in the fintech industry in India. More recently, Nithin also set up the Rainmatter Climate Foundation, which is an Indian climate fund providing funding to startups and grassroots level organizations who are working on solutions to mitigate climate change. So Nithin has been very passionate on both of these two angles. And friends, while many of you might already know this angle about Nithin, you might not know some other angle of his personal side, which I've seen very closely recently, which is his passion for physical fitness and for music, especially playing the guitar. So it's a very unique, diverse set of experiences and hobbies that Nithin has, and it will be really great to hear his views today. Nithin, wish you a very warm welcome. Today we are going to try and cover a broad set of topics specifically focused on the hot topic today, which is artificial intelligence and AI and ML related opportunities in the financial services in India. Today, as we speak in the recent times, there has been a big noise about what we call as Magnificent Seven. Not the Magnificent Seven, the famous Hollywood movie, but the Magnificent Seven, which is the term coined for these 7 large global tech stocks, which are powered by AI-related activities. So with that as the backdrop in global context, connecting the dots with Indian context, we have Nithin, and I'll try to navigate across 7 specific questions linked to AI and ML, and concluding with one special question to Nithin about his guidance to any young finance professional looking to build a career in the Indian financial services industry connected with technology. So friends, structurally today, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, and a lot of technology related initiatives have started being used in various industries, including, I can just get started with saying, in the asset management industry, for example, where I work with, and it is being used extensively, and big investments are being made across 3 areas, 3 key pillars of the business. First and foremost, investment analysis, where it helps to improve the performance and the analytics of the fund manager and research analyst. Second, in marketing and client outreach, where it helps focused marketing to create a better investor journey. And third is in back office and automation, where it helps to reduce costs and improve efficiencies. Now, coming to what we can gain in the global context and what's happening in India, Nithin, how you and your team are using artificial intelligence and machine learning related tools or applications in your work area, and what are the key advantages or certain key benefits that you are looking at from that?
Yeah. Firstly, thanks, Anil, for having me here and for all the kind words. So we, to be very honest, we haven't really incorporated too much of it within the business. I think the first implementations of an AI engine within Zerodha was, Amazon has this platform called Recognition, which is, where if you want to match the person who's doing in-person verification, like, if you want to match my face in this video to my ID proof, I could be looking very different in the ID proof, and I might look very different in the video. right? So see, the Amazon recognition is like a AI powered platform, which does a much better job in validating the person on the other side of an in-person verification screen is the same person as on the ID proof. That was really the only real AI integration as such. Now, I think all the breakthroughs that have happened last year around LLMs, etc., it's only now that we are spending time looking at where all can this help us, right? As in, see, our software team, whatever they tell me, they say that their productivity has already gone up significantly, right? Because a lot of pieces of code that they would otherwise have to write it themselves, today they can, use one of these models to generate the code of sorts, right? So the software developers are using it, but within the business, the two places that we are trying to implement right now is one which we have already done, which is when a customer writes to us, create a ticket, etc. Usually, it's not written very well, right? Because when customers write to a support, right, as in, they're not really thinking about formatting. There's a lot of English. There's a lot of regional languages. So what we're doing is we're using one of these LLM models to kind of summarize. And so if one of the support team members look at a ticket, they actually see a summary first, so they can kind of better quickly get the context of the entire conversation on top, and then they can actually respond. The next bit that we are trying to implement is can we create like an auto response for very simple queries, because usually I think where the LLM models are still not tested out is where there is complex math, right? But as long as it's very it's simpler, it is, you can actually have some auto responses kind of thing in place. The way we are doing it, we are thinking of it's not to do auto response, but to actually create a draft response for someone on the support to look at it and then approve it and send. So it's kind of, I'm guessing with time, the efficiency will improve significantly. Like one of the things about Zerodha that doesn't, I think, get highlighted too much is, like 5 years back, we were, I think, 5 lakh customers, and we had around 1,000 people on the team. We are, I don't know, like 1.3 crore customers, and we have 1,000 members on the team, right?
Yes.
In the sense, we've actually scaled significantly without having to add people on the team, and it's on the back of technology,
Absolutely.
right? And so a lot of these processes and people, what they're talking about today, we had already implemented. Like our support portal does as a decent job of like having a decent search engine kind of feature within the support portal, etc. So, but I think it's quite crazy what all can be done. It's just we're going slow because we're also kind of scared about the repercussions of adopting something as powerful as this very quickly, right? As in the repercussions not just for our business but within the industry itself, right? Because we are today looked as a thought leader, and us doing something can potentially mean other people trying to replicate it very quickly as well. So we are intentionally going slow on this, and just let it all sink in before we take any drastic steps or so.
The super point. And yeah, I mean, you made it very tangible and measurable that 5 years back at a scale of X number of clients, you had got, let's say, 1,000 employees. And now with a much more manifold increase in the scale of clients, that has still not led to a need to increase the number of employees by that much scale. So that's a very powerful way of use case, basically. So really a good connect on that side. Now, I mean, structurally, if you look at the global AI fintech market, and there are various these consultant analytic reports which have predicted that it will grow at a double-digit CAGR over the next 5 years going forward. How do you see the role evolving in the finance and investment industry, specifically in India, basically in the near term?
Yeah, I mean, see, we've invested in one company who is doing something on this space, and actually yesterday I was on another call where the startup was pitching this idea, which is around see, there is a lot of data in India which is, which is all around, right? So someone has to kind of clean up the data, put it together, and come up with some intelligent information, right? And that is like a perfect use case for an engine like this, right? As in, so I think just for research analysts and just to be able to I remember from the yesterday's presentation, the use case was this person saying, I want to compare like expense ratio over a period of time between these three different funds, how it's played out. As in, while today you could kind of go build this report manually, but this in a second you can just query it in very very normal English, without having to know all these Excel queries, etc. You could just query it and you can get it in a second of sorts. And so some of these, I think, legacy systems which have, I mean,
The need for the syntax, remembering the syntax or the language.
remembering the syntax, or just like all the legacy systems which are around, maybe they'll get disrupted quite fast. And it does seem, for the use cases that we've seen, these two startups are building, it does seem that there is they can potentially go kind of disrupt in this analyst space, right? Trying to seek information, right? Just to be able to give information quicker in a more meaningful, intelligent way of sorts. But at the end of the day, right, I think about trading and investing, etc. I think what eventually plays out is how do you handle your emotions, right? Right? I mean, you can have
super fun. Yeah.
And you can't really program that, so
yes.
And you can have the best analysis in the world, but how do you act on it is still up to you as a
behavioral aspect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
A human at the end of the day will always have a button to turn it off and turn it off, turn it off and turn it on, right? So it's up to the human's emotions really that determine how useful it will eventually be. But there is no doubt that the productivity increase is going to be phenomenal for for everyone in this space, especially around analysis, or even like I said earlier, right, in terms of operations, in terms of sales, how much will it materially lead to top line growth? I mean, that we need to see. I don't know. 15%, 20%. I mean, it seems like it's will it grow? Will there be pressure on pricing? Because there can be more competition in the space very easily, right? So we need to see how that plays out. I'm not really sure if that 15-20% or whatever that number will really play out that way.
Yeah. No, but I think you made it very clear that structurally some of the way in which today we are seeing analytics, or the way in which today we are seeing queries being run on certain legacy platforms and all that can significantly change completely. Super point. And it's a little bit specific to your company and your way of looking at it. Like, recently you had made the point that Zerodha has a policy to refrain from making any layoffs because of the implementation of like AI or any new piece of technology which makes any job redundant, which is super policy. I mean, and really very commendable. How are you planning to undergo this transformation? And like little bit more, if you can, if you'd like to share about this. But as I said, I think it is a great thinking and a great policy. If you can share a little bit more about that, it will be really wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, see, firstly, I think we didn't get carried away when the business was growing, and because usually for business folks, right, the mental framework is more people can somehow solve for problems, right? But in reality, it works very differently, right? More people more often complicate versus simplify, anything in life. So we've generally been very, very picky in terms of hiring. Like our tech team, like Kailash, who heads our tech, if he hires 2 people in a year, he says we overhired. And
really, okay, great, yeah.
So I mean, so we're very careful about who we hire, if they culturally fit in our business, because we're thinking really long term as a business, right? I mean, we're not thinking about 3 months, 6 months growth. So because once they culturally fit in, it almost then becomes like your family, right? I mean, you can't you don't, one day get up and say, oh, you're not my brother or my sister or whatever.
Yes.
You can't
Super
just,
point. Great point.
right?
Great point. Yeah.
So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why we are even slow in implementing some of these things, like auto response on, say, support, right, is because we don't know the eventual impact what it'll have on us and the entire industry, right? As in, so one, we're going slow, right? Two is, I think, I mean, it's kind of reduced now, but there was generally a lot of scaremongering, for a while, right? I mean, for 6 months, like everyone out there, AI, ML was really the headline of every news article, every social media post saying, how many job losses it'll lead to and blah, blah, blah. And there was always, I think there was a lot of uncertainty saying what will happen to my job. And so I thought it's important for us to make a statement to everyone on the team saying that
very strong statement and very comforting, very positive statement. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I mean, especially with the business. I mean, see, the thing is, if a piece of technology brings efficiency to the business, it means the business will do better. So, and the business does better. Is it okay for a business to then let go of someone, right? It doesn't seem right. I mean, of course, if you were thinking of it in truly capitalistic terms, where you prioritize money over everything else, then maybe it seems all right. But
very true, very true.
Right? Yeah. But so I think it also depends on the philosophical framework of the person and the business itself. And we haven't really run the business like that. So I think internally the team appreciated it. One of the reasons I thought we should make this public is also because we wanted, like peer pressure others.
Perfectly, super point. I agree. It sets a very strong precedent and great point, Nithin, that it creates a so-called positive peer pressure. So wonderful point. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, but I think a lot of this is high, in a sense. I mean, while there's a lot of transformations happening because of AI and ML, but it's not at the speed at which people are talking 6 months back, 4 months back. Right? It's happening. It's happening slow and steady. It's unlikely that the world will be a different place in 6 months or 1 year. I mean, probably it'll be a very different place in 3 years, 5 years. Right? But but we need to see. We need to see how this plays out. But it's not happening like the way everyone is talking about it for sure.
Correct. It's not some fast magic wand which will just change things very overnight. Like Magnificent Seven won't happen in 7 months. Basically, I understand your point. It'll take a medium to long term.
Yeah, no, I keep getting so many people writing to me, our customers especially. Like some, have you introduced AI that'll help me make money? I said, the hell? I mean, like, there is no freaking AI that helps.
Absolutely.
So it's, people, because I think, like, you just mentioned, I think a lot of people have assumed that this will somehow solve for all life problems. It's unlikely, it's likely to complicate life more, than simplifying it, So.
Completely agree. Very true. Very true. Connecting that point further, like Nithin, like you said, AI ML is a tool, and in some way it will help certain areas. How do you see, let's say, for example, certain skills or some talents that AI cannot replace? Whether, let's say, in terms of how you mentioned briefly about certain areas of business or certain areas of thinking. So, what do you feel that certain skills or certain talents AI will never be able to replace?
I mean, empathy, right? Isn't like, for example, just to be, like, have the nuance of when to be sweet to someone, when to be not sweet to someone, right? I mean, that is unlikely to ever get replaced, right? So I keep telling this to our support team that while we might have auto responses, but that conversation with the customer with empathy is now I don't see how AI will ever be able to replace it. Right? Because even if AI somehow figures I need to be sweet on a call, it will come across very fake if it's a robot sorts. I think on the creativity side as well, right? I think while digital art, etc., AI will probably just kill that industry, right? But just to be able to come up with new ideas, I doubt you'll be able to come up with new ideas. I mean, what AI, the engine is doing is really looking at the history and coming up with some patterns from the history, right? So which means it's all out there already, right? I think in terms of new ideas, I I doubt if this will solve for anything. Well, of course, you can take the whole effort of taking an idea to execution probably will get very simpler, much simpler because of AI around. But I doubt in terms of creativity, etc. Um, if I want to come up with a new business idea, will it help?
Yeah.
Maybe not. So
Completely. Will not help. Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I was telling my son that unlikely he likes playing football, and he was asking me, will AI help? Somehow help. So I'm still
So cute. Yeah.
so it's unlikely that we will sit and watch robots playing football.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but you never know. Actually, like people on Twitch, I don't know if you've seen, they actually sit and watch people play video games. So
Yes. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
no. I mean, I will definitely never sit and watch robots playing football. But
Playing a football game. Completely agree. It just doesn't. Yeah.
yeah, but maybe the next generation will. We never know. So, but yeah, I think it is. And I said, in our business, in the business of money, handling emotions is really the key, right? And unlikely that AI will be able to, help, all our biases, right? Which is greed, fear, disposition bias. I mean, all of these things that we feel as emotions, right? Which is unlikely that
Yes. Yeah.
unlikely that we will I give all my money to an AI to manage everything on itself? Unlikely.
Unlikely.
Right? I'll always be interfering.
Fully unlikely. Yeah.
So, and as long as I was interfering in it, that means, my biases are at play, so it's unlikely that the human emotion piece is, in decisions around money decisions is going to get replaced by AI.
Yeah. Great. Super point. I mean, so a lot of very crucial things to keep in mind that AI and ML will help. It will help you in better analyzing your data points. Maybe it will help you in hence taking better investment decisions. But still, the behavioral bias, the human biases, it can never take away. It will still be each and every investor. It will be our responsibility to make sure you handle them in a perfect way. That will never be able to take over by AI. And like Nithin mentioned on the lighter side, we are definitely never going to see robots playing a football match, basically, or we are never going to see an AI which will just on its own consistently be able to make money for you while you just sit back and sip your coffee or your juice or somewhere sitting in some fancy island. Nithin, one last question, connecting a little bit away from maybe the world of finance and investments, because of your diverse connectivity through specifically, let's say, the Rainmatter Climate Foundation, which is a key focus area for you as well, and it's a really great initiative. Any thoughts like any other sectors, where you feel the AI and ML related growth can benefit some of these sectors, or any other sectors besides finance and investments you feel in India specifically are likely to see some adoption or gain benefit from that?
See, the thing is, it's a no-brainer that AI will help, bring in efficiency, right? Across sectors, right? I mean, it's not just in finance. I mean, you can pick up everywhere, right? As in, I think the problem, though, I think in the context of India is, the biggest employer in the world is inefficiency, right? And if you make systems efficient, you're automatically needing lesser people, to do the job, right? And that's so I don't know. I think about it quite a bit, especially because of the foundation. That the biggest problem in India is really employment, right? As in you need to create more jobs, right? And because otherwise we'll continue to grow, but maybe grow in pocket, right? Maybe the top 5-10% of the country. But we want to grow inclusively as a country, because that's really when we will do, as a country, we will do well. And the issue is, if efficiency starts creeping in because of AI across different sectors, what then happens to the job creation problem in this country, right? I mean, it's just not India. I mean, this is a question that's getting asked everywhere.
Overall, yeah, not just India. Absolutely right. I understand.
Yeah, but in India, I think it's a bigger problem because we are the largest country by population in the world.
Right. Plus India, we have a lot of so-called disguised unemployment as well. So I think it becomes even more challenging
Yeah, and we also have the largest 20 to 30-year-olds, right? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think about it quite a bit. I don't have an answer, but I think I don't know if this improving efficiency and all of this happening very quickly will we
Mm.
as as a country be able to adapt to this so quickly. As in the sense, what if tomorrow, like farming is creates so much of employment. I mean, but we are already seeing some of
Yeah.
these machines and tools in farming that can improve efficiency significantly. Now, what then happens if all these AI powered machines starts doing a better
Mm.
job farming? Then what happens to farmers and their jobs and etc. Right? As in historically, what has happened is every time technology has helped give more time to humans have done something more evolved. As in so
Yes,
technology historically
absolutely.
has always helped humans become a better kind and more efficient and etc. And created more jobs and wealth. But this time, it's different because we're talking about replacing humans completely, right? As in, it's not,
Mm. Yeah.
it's
It's
not.
not enhancing the efficiency, it's complete replacement. Completely. Yeah. It's a very different
So,
context.
yeah, and the issue here is also that all of this change is happening in a very short time period, right?
Mm.
Historically, if you see, like going from steam engine to a petrol engine, like
Yes.
it took like 20 years, 30 years, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. It
everything
was
is
a gradual thing, and one generation could really comfortably evolve, like Industrial Revolution 1.0, 2.0, and then, yeah,
right?
correct.
So, but here, all of this happening at such crazy pace
Mm.
that I don't know. I don't know how the world will adapt to the new reality. I mean, I think that's really the biggest risk in all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great point, Nithin. Nithin, last point, not about now moving out from AI and ML, but very personal suggestion or guidance. You have a large set of people who look up to your views across different diverse areas and segments and demographic, but a very large number of very young professionals also do. Like, and as you mentioned, we also have a large uh, pocket of 20 to 30 years old. So one very useful, if I may leave it as a closing remark, as a good career advice for finance professionals from your side in the times to come, Within, what would you say this?
I think it's just not finance professionals. I think it's generally for all professionals. I would say it is just being curious, and it's become more important in today's world than before. And because of the advent of AI, ML, etc. And it's important that each one of us is constantly curious and learning more because the skills of yesterday can become redundant anytime, right? So you need to
Yeah.
constantly keep upskilling yourself. Now, one of the problems I think I've seen generally is people, after getting a decent job, they tend to stop being curious because there is a sense of arrived in life, right? As in,
Mm.
like, you do a MBA or you do a CFA, you get a good job, and suddenly you're like, you want to, have babies, you want to have, marry, and then you get life take over you and stop being curious. And I
Some
think
sort of complacency sets in, basically.
correct. And the problem in tomorrow's world is that if you're not evolving fast enough, I think an engine can replace you any point of time, right? And that's really, I think it's become more important today than before because of just the pace at which these new technologies are coming through. So yeah, so I would say one line would be probably just be constantly curious to learn, not just one thing across. I mean, just if you're finance, maybe it's a good idea to pick up and learn about some science or pick
Mm.
up tinker around in some of these AI engines,
Exactly.
so
Correct.
just
Great idea that if you're in finance, do something different, diverse, or if you in your journey of finance you have not learned maybe some coding, learn that, and within that also, of course, you need to learn the existing very useful languages, but maybe try to pick up some coding languages which are relatively new right now, so that when you are at the peak, let's say 15 years, 10 years later, those languages are become more relevant and useful and powerful for you. So
yeah,
super point, great point. And
yeah.
and like, so just that reminded me, like, while discussing, I just looked up on my softboard, and I have got this small picture put up since the past many years. It's a gentleman in his like maybe 50s, 60s, graying hair, in a suit and a tie, and he's riding a bicycle. And the caption below his profession is like riding a bicycle. Either you keep moving or you fall down. So as you very perfectly said, Nitin, that very often many of us think that, okay, I have got my suit and tie, now I have got a cycle. Now, okay, I mean, like, I'm done now. I've arrived in life. But if you don't constantly keep moving, you have to remember it's a bicycle. You will fall down. So super point, and really appreciate. So with that, friends, here's coming to the end of one more very powerful podcast on the CFA Society India platform. Thank you for listening in. Signing off with none other than Nithin Kamath, CEO of Zerodha, and also a very passionate supporter through his Rainmatter Foundation, not just for fintech and incubation, but also Rainmatter Climate. Nithin, thank you, really very much appreciate spending your time and effort, and great to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks, Anil, and thanks everyone at CFA.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening in to today's podcast. Before you go, please subscribe to stay updated on your favorite podcast app.